It's Sunday, August 18th, 2019. This is all about your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and weekend review video. I'm coming at you today at a very uncomfortable closeness to the camera. We had some storms last night. My sitting area is soaked, and we have a boys soccer game to get to here shortly, so I wanted to do this without waiting for the ground to dry. So I apologize for being all in your face, but we're going to get to these articles and headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. This week was all about the inverted yield curve. I talked about this on the rundown. I did a blog post about it, which you'll see in the mixtape below. But basically, the long-term interest rates fell below short-term interest rates, which triggers recession warnings. I'm not going to explain that on this because I did it a couple times this week. Be sure to watch the video below, and when you link out to that blog post, there's another video that talks about the inverted yield curve and more about what it is. So you'll get your why everybody's talking about that and what it is on those videos. We'll save that, but that was the big topic for this week, which led to recession fears, which led to markets selling off, which led to markets recovering. So it was a wild ride in the stock market. At the end of the day, after having an 800-point drop, which was about 3% in the Dow Jones, we ended up the week basically down a little bit. So it was a lot of headlines to scare people, a lot of actions were probably taken, and then a lot of actions were probably regretted, which is why I'm an advocate for long-term plan, stick to your investment strategy, and not make changes on the day-to-day because of headlines. My final piece on that is, even though the yield curve precedes recessions, it does not mean one is coming soon, which is why I think you stick to your long-term plan. Long-term planning software takes into consideration ups and downs of the market. It takes into consideration there will be recessions to forecast how we're doing. So talk to your financial advisor if you have any questions, but that was the big thing this week. You saw the market all over the place. A couple of other minor things to point out. Argentina saw their stock market fall 48% in one day. So if we were scared by our 3%, can you imagine how they felt over there? It was tied to an election. There was a surprise win. So there was that news out there. You probably don't have a lot of exposure to Argentina, but that was a headline that was out there. And also, to put in perspective, 3% versus 48%. Granted, different economies, different situations, but still a little bit of perspective there that it could have been a lot worse, right? And then finally, consumer sentiment. So how we feel about the markets. Consumer sentiment actually dipped down a little bit in the last month, mainly because of the trade talks, recession talks. So all of that is starting to push on consumer sentiment, but not to a level to where it's signifying anything major, but just something to put out there. We'll see if the numbers continue to drop, or if they stay, or if they rise. And then some conflicting or some other data points out there that suggest the other side. Consumer sentiment goes down, but spending was up in July. So consumers are still spending money. So we're not seeing the connection between, I'm not so certain about the economy that I'm going to pull back on my spending, trickle into consumer spending yet. But those are the things that we kind of look for just to get a gauge of what's going on. Again, those are just indicators. We don't know what that really means and what that will play out to be, but it's just something to be aware of and to watch. So that's everything I had for this week. Short and sweet, so we can get to the soccer fields. Like I said, back-to-back matches is today. And then we're heading off to the Indiana State Fair on the last day, thanks to some friends. So I hope you have a great weekend, have a great week, and I will see you next weekend on the mixtape. Have a good one.